Why did I freeze?
I know we've got some latency a little bit, but oh, I don't want to read the transcript. No, hide that. But you'll probably come back. Gosh, who knew this would be so difficult?
I know. I'm just like, I see my frozen video.
Wait, maybe turn off your camera, put it back on. I don't know. Or are you just frozen? Oh, there we go.
Okay, there we go.
And it could be internet. Who knows? Well,
Mm.
it is so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. How are you doing?
It's been crazy. I just spent 2 hours with a student, so
Mm.
well,
Oh, just one student?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it was very helpful. It really was. But I'm tired and I haven't had lunch, and so
There we go. We need to
okay.
replenish. We need to
Well,
replenish.
well, well. This is important. So, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me
Yeah.
about your. And I know I did watch the little news clip about your journey to dance.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit, did you dance before you joined the dance team, or like have you been dancing all your life as a kid growing up? Was that part of your life?
Yeah, so for me, music was always like a big part of my life, and I never really danced professionally or anything, but I did like watch like I was heavily inspired by films and movies, and most of them were like Honey, Save the Last Dance, You Got Served, like all those dance movies and Step Up and stuff like that really were like catalysts into me. They were my teachers because I couldn't really afford like going all the way to Los Angeles as a kid or going across town to studios and stuff like that. And there aren't any studios around where we live, around Madisonville either. So it was never an option for me. So like I just learned by watching like YouTube videos and movies. But like I never really thought of it as like a something serious. I just did it because I was able to. I had rhythm. I would dance at the parties, dance at the like school dances, and I was always in one of the circles, and they're
Everyone
like,
knew you could dance.
yeah, like, and I'm just like, that's me, the dancer. But I wasn't on the dance team. I didn't even think about it, until I kind of got a little more confident in who I was to say I want to do that. And that took me to being a senior to do that.
Crazy. I love that though. So, and was you were on the basketball team too? Is that right?
Yeah, I played basketball all 4 years. Basketball was introduced later on to me too. Like I started playing basketball, I think my seventh or eighth grade year in South Middle. And I was horrible, like trash. Like before basketball, I wasn't a sporty kid. Like I was just like my brother played sports, my dad played sports like that, but like I just mimic them. And I would play when they wanted to play, but it wasn't really in my, I guess, wheelhouse until um I was like, I want to try something new again. But like the guy friend of mine, he was like, try for the dance team. I mean the basketball team. I'm trying out today. So I tried out with them and made it, which I was like, why did I make this team? I don't know.
You had
But
rhythm. You didn't
right,
know it, right?
McQueen, shout out to Steve McQueen. He was like, you're on the team. So I made the basketball team, and I remember my first like game I played. I stole the ball and scored the opposite goal. And I was like, yeah, might not be for me.
That is so
But
great.
I got picked on and like kind of murmured and bullied, not bullied in a sense, but like little jokes and jabs of why are you the only black person on the team and can't play basketball? And I was just like,
Wow.
you're right. And I was tall too. So I was like, like, what is wrong with me? So that whole summer of eighth grade, I went to play basketball with like grown men during the summer, like at the court, stuff like that. And I just played with them, didn't call any fouls. I was played like them, like fouls and then playing aggressively. And I was like, that was my training. So after that summer, I came back and I started. And I mean, I was outside every day of the summer. I was outside playing basketball. Because I don't know, something about me, like when somebody says I can't do something or I just don't have, they're like, you can't do that. I literally have to be like, you messed up when you said I can't, because I can. I just need time, you know?
Wow. 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 I mean, this is really interesting about people who succeed because one of the videos that I just love, and I show it to my children, my kids all the time, Deshauna Barber, and I don't know if you've heard about her story in Miss USA, that
Mhm.
it took her 7 years
Yeah.
of doing the Washington D.C. pageant
Yep.
get into to win Miss America. 7 years, and it was just that persistence and that
Yes.
grit. And she says in one of her speeches, when people tell me I can't do something or I should quit or I'm not good enough, that just
Grinds are up.
lights the fire that gets me to say, "Oh, you say I can do it?" I mean, you must have very similar personality types, I'm guessing. Because not everybody's like that, but that is what it takes. Is that
Yep.
do you know why? You know, being a music teacher, people will watch someone play, you know, Vivaldi's The Four Seasons, and they'll be like, "How are they that good? How in the world can they play the violin like that?" And I go, they practice,
Yeah. No.
right? And what did you do to get better at basketball? What did you do?
I literally practiced
You
like
played, right?
I played and I chose to not like when I was at the court, I was literally, I mean, in eighth grade, I think you're what, like 13, 14, 12. So I think you're 13,
Yeah,
14. Um, and I was down there playing with like grown men, they're strong, they're bigger than me and everything else. So their light fouls would knock me to the ground, but like I knew that that would make me better,
they
you know.
challenged you to be better.
Exactly. And eventually I started to play at the level that they played on. So I was like, I think for me, I have to throw myself in situations that are kind of hard for me to like fuel, like grind me into like a diamond. You know what I'm saying? Like pressure makes diamond. That's a beautiful analogy. And like, it's just, I knew that I was like this clay and they would help me become polished. And when I came back to school, they weren't going to court playing like that. So I was playing at a different level because they were just like, wait, what happened from seventh grade to eighth grade? And it is the pressure, but it also is people like did that like underestimation that people throw onto you. I think that is kind of like a double-edged sword. It helps you, but also kind of makes you feel like, well, what am I worthy of this or am I this or this? But like you kind of have to choose which route you're going to use that as ammunition. And for me, like every time somebody said no, I can't do something like this, or this isn't for you, I always just question that, like, why are you saying that? And like, well, let me show you what I can do. But yeah, I practiced my tail off. Like I
Hard
was
work.
there, yeah, like I was there day in and day out. Like it literally felt like I put myself through a boot camp. I really did. And there was no reason to. Like, my mom was like, why are you at the court from 9 a.m. to like 7 p.m.? Like, that's a whole day's work, you know? But I wanted to prove myself, but also prove people that, like, for one, there's a motivation when it comes to people cutting you, like verbally cutting you with certain words, you know? Like they were saying like you are the only black guy kid on the basketball team. Like why are you not good at basketball? And there's this like the stereotype there, right? And then also in a sense, I do go to an all white like school. So I'm just like, I should be playing basketball. Like I should be. I'm tall. I'm tall. I'm the tall, like one of the tallest kids there. And I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense. So I just felt very like torn between worlds because literally what it was I have always been an artistic kid, and the sport never really called to me. But then there was a side of me that was very competitive and I love playing like sports by myself. you know, but it's just different. It was really different. And I don't know, something about that just fueled me to try. And I guess it gave me that, what is it? It gave me that like, don't push me and because I will show you up type of mentality that I've taken into my life. Like, so that had to happen then when I was a kid to be instilled in me now. It's like a tool I have. Because like you
Yeah,
said, not
yeah,
many people have it.
yeah. And the fact that you learned that so young, I think is why you're successful and haven't given up is because you learned that lesson at 12.
Hmm.
Some people don't learn that lesson until they get to college.
Yeah.
Or, and on the other hand, I mean, sometimes it is absolutely okay to learn it later in life,
Yeah.
but for what you wanted to do, that molded you and made you who you are
Yes.
because you learned that lesson. Um, and it was an unfortunate one, but it worked to your advantage.
Yeah. No.
Right? I mean, it came from a really negative place,
Yeah.
but you were able to turn that around
Yep.
and make it work for you.
And I
Uh,
think that's how most of my that's how most of my create my most creative things about me, my like from my creativeness to my personal energy and essence, like come from that negative space. Because where in my perspective of growing up in like Madisonville is just people live in a lot of fear back home. Like when I was a kid, I just saw fear all around me. People were scared to really fully be themselves, afraid of really just going above and beyond, showing up. They're afraid of stepping out of this little town that we have, you know? Like I have parents and grandparents that don't even drive to, across the state. And I'm just like, I grew up with that mentality and I just grew up understanding that like I don't want to be a product of my environment and be afraid. Like I'm not afraid of anything. Like I was like, I know I mean, honestly, if I was able to when I was 14 or 13 or whatever to fly to Los Angeles and live there, I would have, but I had to wait till I was 18. But like, but like, I wasn't afraid to do that, because I was like, otherwise, it's just going to be the same old things, the repetitive things that, I keep hearing. I didn't like hearing excuses when I was a kid. Like, oh, if I was da da da, then I would have played basketball in college, or I would have done this and this and this in college, or whatever, or I would have gone off to this. But I was like, in my brain as a kid, I was never able to question them until I got older. But I was like, I mean, you could have, I was like, you could
yeah,
have.
and I think that's fair. Maybe they couldn't have, depending on their generation. I mean, my next question, just kind of piggyback on that, is so did your family, I mean, are the roots really deep in Hopkins County, or did they come to Hopkins County later? I mean, do your grandparents come back to living here in Hopkins County for decades? And
Yeah, like for me, as much as I've known the knowledge I have, my immediate family is in Hopkins County. And there are little spurts everywhere of people being in like Nashville, but like little like spurts. I mean, like a cousin here, a cousin there, somebody here, but majority of my family is in Madisonville, Kentucky. And for me, I feel like that to me, just seeing everyone there and not having a lot of stories of traveling the world, like it just bugged me. And I was like, well, if y'all don't do it, then I will. If y'all don't do it,
somebody's got to be that kid, right? That just leaves. That I'm sure. Oh, what is he doing in LA again?
yeah, that was it. And the thing is that's what I try to tell people in their journeys that are younger than me, and like they ask about how do I do it. I'm just like, you really have to silence all of those voices, because sometimes the people closest to you are the ones that hinder you the most. And I learned that as a kid. I learned that early on, that like it wasn't even my fears that wanted to stop me, it was theirs. They were afraid of me going to California because it was crazy and scary, and it was, oh, there's so much that happens in California. But my question was, have you been? You don't know until you try something. And they were like, oh, are you gonna really dance and all this stuff? And I'm like, yeah, like why not, you know? And I'd always been a very intellectual kid, and I always got in trouble for asking questions. I always said why, you
Oh
know?
my gosh. I mean, you touch on everything that my my philosophy of teaching. You are saying everything that I say to my students. I mean, is to question. Like, I want everyone to be the Renaissance man and woman and say why when they're asked to do something, or we're doing this biology lab. Ask why
Mhm.
if you don't know why you're doing it. You know,
Exactly.
we shouldn't, and it saddens me, and I know that a lot of people do, but it saddens me that people shut that down.
Yeah.
That if somebody asks why, yes, when a 5-year-old asks why 10,000 times in
Okay.
3 hours, yes, I understand that. But I read somewhere that by the time we're 18, if at 5 we're asking 30,000 questions a day, by the time you're 18, we don't ask questions anymore. And why? I want to know why. Why don't we do that? Why don't we challenge
Yes.
people and ourselves? And that, I had a student once who was 21, lived in St. Charles, and
Hey,
had never been to Evansville.
see
And she said her dad wouldn't let her go. I said, get in the car
and go.
and go north for
Yep.
45 minutes.
And
You'll be
go.
in Indiana.
And go.
Go be in another state. And I was like you. I grew up in high school. I took a trip to Europe, and when I
Yes.
was 17, I moved from Detroit to Murray, Kentucky, which seems a little bit backwards, a little bit different.
Hmm.
But I still, at 17, went off to college to Murray. I did my master's and doctorate at Florida State, and I've never looked back. I took a class from Yale that was 5 weeks in Austria, and I want my children to not be afraid,
Yes.
because it is very easy to just stay in your home and be safe.
Safe.
It's very,
It's
very safe.
safe. Safety. Yeah, no, it's safety. That's the thing. I think you find the most beautiful things when you are headed into fear. Like when you are so uncomfortable, like I feel like that is when you learn your fight or flight. And I think I've always been a fight type of person, you know. I don't like to stray away from adversity because I think it teaches me the most about myself. And I am a true student of life. Like I love not to learn just about the world, but like I like to learn about me and like situations that like I can put myself in. And I want to really see if I can talk the talk. Like, am I able to plot myself in Egypt and maneuver as Deontay by myself? And I feel like I can, but I will never know until I get there,
Yeah.
you know?
You can't, our culture, our society, the American society particularly, is one that dismisses things without trying it. We
Yes.
dismiss things we don't understand. We've had a lot of discussions about dismissing Beyonce's Cowboy Carter
Yeah.
without ever listening to it. And
Yes.
yes, we can argue what is country music and what is this and what is that. But if you've never listened to it and you
Can't.
just don't like Beyonce, you've never met Beyonce. How
No.
do you? You've
Ex-
never even met Beyonce. Don't tell me you don't like her. You've never
Exactly.
met her. Don't tell me you don't like it. Well, when you just say you don't like it or her without having done any studying and whatever, then it sounds a little bit like prejudice.
It does. No, it does. And the thing about that for me, it's like, for example, with music in general, art in general, I was having that debate myself with some friends, and I was just like, I get that she's not branded as a country artist, but she is an artist in general. And when does it say that an artist has to subject themselves literally to one category of music?
Sure.
As an artist, you can really be anything. Like, if I don't think it'd be a question if Elton John wanted to all of a sudden make a folk song or dabble in techno, I think people will be like, oh my God, that's revolutionary for him in this moment,
Right.
you know? Or like, for example, Eminem, a whole white man could have really done a whole pop era. He could have been, you know, in a different era, but he chose rap. And in a sense, he's one of the best, but like, there's no torches being thrown at him for that.
I think about Post Malone
Oh,
because
oh,
I mean,
love
there's
Post.
I was like, oh my gosh, he sings. Like
Yeah.
what? Like he plays what? And
Mhm.
so we do now. Like Metallica has their, you know, it kind of depends. Maybe like when they cut their hair and started writing songs that were a little less hard, you know, they sold out because you know there are some areas where you can see that the torch is being thrown because they aren't sticking to their base, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you could make, you know, you could make an argument for why that happened too.
Yeah.
But you know, my question was, who is the beholder of what country music is? Because you know, Johnny Cash's country music doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So you know,
There,
who is saying what country music is, and who says it has to have this, and
yeah.
this to be country music?
If I'm the
But
question.
it is, you know, we being open minded
Yes.
and leading with the experience and the understanding and the research and all of that is so important
Yes. I
for
think.
sure. Oh, I love it. I love it. So let's go back
Mhm.
to do you sing or play any instruments?
Yeah, so I don't play any instruments. I would love to learn how to play the piano and guitar, but I do sing and write songs. I write music, I sing, and yeah, I've always loved like when I do sing and stuff like this, I always when I'm singing on stage or something like that, I literally feel like my fingers are moving, so I feel like I kind of want to play the piano while I'm singing. So I feel like that is kind of like because when I'm singing, I'm just like da 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 da, and I'm just doing this. So I'm like, maybe my being wants a piano in front of me, but I am not instrumentally inclined. Like I literally just I've tried it and it just my body is an instrument, my brain works that way to learn it very fast, but I think I need a real crash dummy course on instruments and everything.
Well, my
But
you know my mom was a piano prodigy, keyboard prodigy. She was playing Mozart at 2 and crazy, perfect
we,
pitch, all that kind of stuff. And I'm very musical. My instrument was voice, classical voice.
right.
Um, but piano for me, I mean, I took 4 semesters in college. I
Mhm.
took lessons. My mother, of course, tried to teach me, but learning from your parents doesn't work real well. But I mean, there really is like a block. Now, keep
Mhm.
in mind, I always say time, effort, practice. Have I really put in the time, effort, and practice to know, you know, if I played the piano 8 hours a day for
Yep.
3 months, would I be better? Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's hard. Like the brain, my mother, she was a church organist and she could just improvise and just like while they're doing the dishes, she's just do to do to do, and she knows all the things. Playing hymns, oh my gosh, I would have to sit there for 3 minutes. Here's this note, this note, this note, this
Yeah.
note. Got it. Let's move on to the next one. I mean, it's just torture. My brain does not think that way. And I
Mhm.
do think that there must be something with certain instruments. Like I
Mhm.
tried guitar too.
I've
And I bought the guitar and I got all the books and the sixth string. I mean, my hand feels like rigor mortis
I
trying to like do that. So I went to the ukulele.
yeah.
And now the chord's completely different because it's tuned differently, but you need to try the $50 ukulele.
It's
Amazon. It is so easy. 3 chords. You get the
yeah.
1, 4, and 5 chord in C major, and you can sing everything. As long as now I don't know if your voice if that key works for you, but for me, I can sing
Yeah.
anything.
I love
And
that.
it's like I it is so easy to teach children. I can use it. I have 20 ukuleles in my classroom. I mean, it's so easy to, I can
Yeah.
teach 3 chords in 20 minutes. I can teach you 3 chords, 20 minutes, and we'll be jamming out to
Here
some
we go.
Stand By Me. Uh,
Yeah.
this is the ukulele and just strumming. What I loved about it, because I can't play piano very well, is
Hmm.
it was the instrument I could sing with. Because
Yes.
I always wanted to have an instrument that would accompany me while I'm singing,
Same.
and it's small enough and it's easier. And they do have different sizes. So the soprano, of course, is the smallest, but the alto and the tenor, or the concert and the tenor, are still tuned the same, but they're just bigger
Mhm.
sizes. The baritone, I think, is differently tuned. But so they're in different sizes, and you can get them in all different pretty colors and shapes. And you should check out the ukulele because
Should.
I love it.
I told
And
myself I was going to get an instrument this year or start on one. And my roommate is a violinist.
oh,
Um, so that's pretty cool. And like she tried to teach me like some chords there, but that's a hard one to learn. But no, I
it's
don't.
not really a chord instrument anyway.
Yeah,
It's really a melody instrument anyway. But yeah,
exactly. Like it's just I don't know. But no, I love to write music. I love to sing. I kind of really do everything that involves me being able to express myself. So people ask me like what type of artist I am, and I'm like, any way I can tell a story is the way that I create. And I've just been blessed and given the ability to do a lot of cool things. And there are things I cannot do, and I love that there's things I can't do, but that means I can learn them. But I don't know, something about being able to storytell in a way, in any given way, is pretty cool. So I just like brand myself as an artist, so, like in just whatever way, shape, or form. That's singing, that's dancing, that is writing scripts. I write like scripts and TV, and directing, which is pretty cool. And I'm
okay.
graduating from film
So,
school.
oh well, okay. I definitely need to ask about that. But and if at any point you need to go, I mean, I definitely won't keep you more than an hour. But if you
My
ever need to go, please let me know. But so, okay, film school, I definitely want to ask about that. I want to ask about like how you got to LA to begin with. And I think I heard that maybe you've been there, back a couple times. Like, and then I also want to know, so, you're telling me about these all so amazing opportunities and writing and all of this. So my
Mhm.
next question is, how do you afford it?
Yeah. Um,
Because my brother lives in Yucca Valley, and I'm trying to find my way to go move out to California, but I know how expensive it is.
yeah.
So how do you make it in LA?
How, that's a really beautiful question because it's non-linear, as in you have to do what works for you. And my expertise or my way is not going to help everyone. And I say that with the utmost truth because when I first came out to LA, I had those questions when I met people. I was like, how do you do it? What do I need to do? Da da da. And I tried to follow that path of what they said, and it just didn't work. And I think what's for you is for you. And when you make a decision to come out to Los Angeles, you really have to see that like this is a city that offers you endless possibilities, but you really have to be like look at yourself and be like, what is it that I like? What service? What is it that I can bring that people don't have, get, or is easily accessible to? And how do I make that different? Because there's 1,001 billion and one people here that do the same thing that we do, right? And I really think that it comes into what it is that we offer, not just on our talent, but as something different within ourselves as our energy and people. And we have to, one, grind, as in you might have to have three jobs. You might have to have do gig, and go to class, not sleep, go to another gig. You might have to have that New York hustle mentality to where you are so tunnel vision that the thing that you're doing as work becomes your way of life because you love it so much you don't even think of it as work. um, LA breeds a different type of hustle in you that is different. When I first got out to Los Angeles, I was the first time I was 18 years old, and I didn't understand that I wasn't just going to live the movie fantasy of landing in Los Angeles with my two suitcases, going to a diner, asking for a job at a 24-hour spot, and literally just that being it. The next day I'll walk and strut and someone will be like, oh my God, like I want you to do my movie. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought at first, and that was just not a reality. And what became real was that there's a hustle and a non-care here that forces you to really tap into yourself and understand that what you have is unique, and use that. Because for me, it was the first time I was here, I left after 3 months because I saved up like 200 to $500, and my suitcases, right? And that right there is a scary feat in its own. And I had a hostel, hotel, and everything else. And then my money ran out and I left. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go to college and undergrad and everything else, and then I'll come back after. Um,
Where did you go to college?
Northern Kentucky University, NKU.
NKU. And what was your degree?
Yeah, my degree was communications, and I then dropped communications, did business, and then had a double major in dance and electronic media and broadcasting.
Excellent.
So, and I tell people also like that's how you know it's like there's so many things you want to do. I found a lot of myself when I went back to school. I think I needed to see a glimpse of LA and then go back to college and kind of brand myself and figure out what I really wanted to do. And I was like, college for me was a identity finding yourself era for me, you know? Um, Even though it's crazy because I did not finish. Like I did not graduate from the NKU, but I had such an impact on the college campus that they really feel like I did. Like the professors are like, wow, everything, it's a crazy thing. But I really didn't. And I didn't because my junior year, um, there was something inside me innately thinking like I just don't belong in school. I was like, it's just not my realm. I'll go back later, you know, I'll finish it later. Partially was like financial decisions of being like my dad at the time, he would not get this extra loan out for me. And I was like, well, if you don't do that, then I'm not gonna be in school. And I was, you know what? Actually, I don't need to be here anyway. That's a sign, you know, I was so like, okay, like you don't want to, okay, well, great. So I was in my finals in my junior year, and in the middle of that, I was looking at flights, and I was like, you know what? F this. I'm about to just move back to Los Angeles. And I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone. I looked at flights. And because I feel when you tell people your stuff and you tell people what you're going to do, they always have something to say, like their opinion holds weight. And I just was like, I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm just going to do it. And if they reach out, then they'll reach out. But if they don't, they'll see I'm in Los Angeles again. And I booked my flight. I left my dorm, left college, and I was in Los Angeles within, the next 5 hours.
Wow.
And I
I
moved back.
love it.
And I moved back. But that time I moved to a hostel, like a artist house, a big artist community house with 40 people. So you have to kind of really want it. And it made me quite like, because I was in a pod situation, like the house was filled with 40 people. It was a beautiful house. We had a theater, we had a music production place, a thing for dancers, actors, and all this other cool stuff. It was beautiful. But it was a lot, and I was just like, okay, I'm here. But I wanted to, it was like college, it was like extended college for me because it was like college for artists. Um, but yeah, I went all the way around. But for what I'm saying is you kind of have to navigate it yourself because your path here is not linear. And you will have to have a type of hustle to you that allows you to stay here. And if you want to stay here, you'll figure it out. That's the test that I have been given in the answers is that you make it work because you want to stay here, even though rent is crazy, even though out here is expensive, you figure it out because you're literally doing everything to stay. Your energy is in staying. The moment you get outside of that, then it's like you kind of don't want to stay then. You know what I'm saying? Like, because everyone's doing it too. Everyone's working for this idea of success in their brain, which is not just here, it's everywhere. But in LA, it has this essence of you kind of got to grind 10 times harder. And in New York City, it's 20 times harder, you know? So there's a dichotomy there of it's interesting. It's very interesting. Hope I answered your question.
So how long have you been in LA? I mean, the longest stint in LA, how long has that been?
So this is the longest I've been in Los Angeles. So I got back here in 2023 and it's 2025. So yeah, because I was there from 20 2019 to 2021 was COVID era, or whenever COVID era was there, I was also going back and forth because I was like, is the world ending? Is it not? Should I stay in Los Angeles? Should I go home? I don't know. And after that, I made the decision to like go back home. So I would say 3 years, and then duration of that, I would say total being in Los Angeles, like back to back, would be like I would say 6 years off and on. But this break from 23 to 25 has been the longest I've stayed consistently or consecutively. But altogether, I've been chasing this like dream since I was 18, which is
What
where the
year? Yeah, what year did you graduate high school?
2015.
So that's 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your typical day like?
My typical day, literally, let's see. Hmm. It's very like I would say it's very normal. To be honest, like I wake up, I have my little um like flutes and ethereal music playing. So I just really start my day off very intentional. Everything about it is very intentional. So like I wake up with setting my energy and setting my like vibe of the day. I have a book that I'm reading on my like nightstand that literally is just like what book I'm reading of the month. I read a lot of books. I'm reading the Four Agreements again. Um,
I just bought that again
yeah,
because I wanted my kids to read it. And I
beautiful.
know it's a little hard, but I was like, they need to be introduced to this early.
Yeah.
But I love that you're reading the Four Agreements.
I love it. It's one of my favorites. When I read it, I think I read it when I was living in Austin, Texas for the first time, and it just changed my perspective of so much. And I was just like, these little agreements are so small, but yet the impact they have if they're followed literally changes a lot. Could possibly change if everyone literally, if these were something kids learned at a young age, the society would be much different. But a normal day for me, I every day I often dance. I have to dance at least some point, an hour, or maybe up to 4 or 5 hours, depending, like just having a section of me just freestyling or moving or dancing. I write in my journal. Um, I am always like figuring out if I don't have classes or anything, then I'm just like in LA writing, journaling, stuff like that, or auditioning or gigging or something like that. Just depending. But it's a jam-packed day with like meetings or I am auditioning for something. Either I'm acting an acting audition or a dance audition, um, or literally just trying to figure out where I need to put my schedule to do this, to do this. So it's a lot of just like time management, honestly, which is kind of like not the fun stuff, but it is fun when you kind of have to, I don't know, like navigate what you want to do, right? Because like for me, like if I didn't time manage my stuff, like I am a full-time student, but like also I have gigs. Like for example, have class from about 9 to maybe 3, but in the middle of that, I have 2 auditions. So it's kind of like there's an acting audition and a dance audition. So I'm just like I'm going to class not in my dance outfit or anything, so I have to bring it, as a change. People were like, "Why are you sweating?" Because mind your business. But I was dancing, and then I had to do acting audition, and then I go back to class. But then that's my lunch break. So then I have to like you kind of have to be like, do you want to go to lunch or do you want to get the auditions in? And I don't know, you just kind of manage your time and you fall in love with the hustle, you fall in love with the grind. And I romanticize this life. Like I romanticize the artist journey so much that it kind of just, I don't know, it doesn't seem too much because my friends also often ask me like, do you sleep? Because I typically do so much. Like I am either always on set or always doing this and doing this, but it's also because I put myself in those environments. Like I am on these casting sites and I submit my work. I've made a good enough reel that like when I get a casting director on my sites, I just send it to them and they're either interested or they're not. And sometimes they mostly are, but it's just like you gotta build yourself as this marketable being, but you have to do everything. You have to be open to doing everything. And I also said at the beginning of the year, this is a year of, well, not the beginning of the year, but when I first flew back here, is like, this is a year of yes. So anything that comes my way is something that I am just gonna, sit with. But if I feel called to do it, then I'll do it. And I think getting back to what we were just talking about with fear, like not being afraid to jump into new things, not being afraid to, step outside these four walls, and get outside and get out there. Um, 'Cause it's not scary, I think we are scary. Like we're more scarier than the things out there because we allow things to stop us. I feel like that is anything can be attested to fear. If you're not afraid, you can make anything happen.
You need to get out there and just talk to young people. You
I
really do. You need to talk to young people.
I do. I do. I've been
You
thinking
need
about
to come back to Central. I mean, do you know how you could impact those kids
I've
to
been waiting to figure out how I would do that because it's funny you said that. When I was sitting in the bleachers while there was a speaker coming up, we had a speaker they come through and talk to us, and I was just like, when I was there, then I was like, I know for a fact one day I'm going to do that. And it's funny you said that because I really do feel like I would love to, and I've always wanted to do that because I felt like, you see glimpses of like, it's something I'm going to do. Like, that's something I'm going to do when I'm older, and I think it's just timely perfect now. And I definitely do. I've been wanting to hold something at Central or in Madisonville at the
yeah.
women. Yeah, I do. I will. I'm going to figure out how to do that because I definitely,
Was Light of Chance there when you were there? Do you know
yeah,
what Light?
I
I
taught.
mean, like, yeah. So I mean that I just think again as I rewatch this, I'm gonna have my 12-year-old. She's really interested in musical theater and voice acting, and she's really really uh, talented at
Mhm.
12, but fearful.
Yeah,
And there are a lot of reasons to be, surely, but that drive
yeah,
that you have would be really impactful to
yeah,
young people. And hearing it from somebody who comes from the same place, who has done these kinds of things and knows how hard it is and the grind, but yet also, how to do it
yeah,
mentally,
yeah,
because it is such a hard anything in the arts. The arts is probably one of the most difficult mental games to
yes.
play because there is so much rejection. Um, we went to the Louisville PopCon, and she met one of her favorite voice actors, Bryce Pinkham. And he said to her, I asked, what advice would you give to young people who want to be voice actors
Mhm.
or just, the arts in general? And I was like, why didn't somebody tell me this at 12? He
Yeah,
said, every no brings you one step closer to that yes.
Yep. That is the truest thing.
And you basically said that a little bit earlier, and I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, if you have that attitude
Yeah.
of, oh, and it sounds like you go to so many auditions and
Mm-hmm.
you go to so many things, you're going to hear so many more no's.
What I've like said from all this is for myself is that going to these positions, it's kind of like you have to get into the mindset of thinking of yourself as this prize. Like for me, I go into audition, if they tell me no, I'm like, well, you really missed out on the talent that I have. You know what I'm saying? You missed out because you saw me for 5 seconds. Like you didn't see me, get the thing or get there, So it's never a slight. Like you getting a no is just, I also believe in closed doors. Like it's in the sense of like if somebody tells you no, then there's something bigger coming along the way. But also what it is, it should not turn into like, oh, I'm horrible, oh, I suck, and this and this and this. It should also just make you kind of grind you up to be like, okay, well, the next audition or the next thing, I'm just going to go in there and absolutely kill. Like I'm going to put my best. And then you have to also really self-analyze as an artist, like, did I go in there and give my all? Did I actually do it how I would do by myself? Because sometimes we also have to get outside of fear and be truthful with ourselves. Like so many times I had to be like, this dance combo, did I actually do the dance combo like I did if I was dancing in my room? No. I didn't. Or did I eat it up, the acting thing, as if I was practicing by myself there in front of the casting director? No, because I was a little nervous. And I was like, well, next time, don't walk inside there nervous and do it how you would do it. And I think we have to do stuff when we're acting or whatever we're doing, how we would do it by ourselves. Because how I dance in my room, I'm on somebody's stage. Okay. So if like I'm on somebody's stage, I am Beyonce, I am this when I'm dancing in my room. And so why not take that into that room? Because that person's booked. That person's is like, who is that? And I think we get scared with the audition with, oh, there's 50, 100 people here, they're not going to pick me. But that's that voice in our head that scares us, or I'm going to an acting audition or a dance audition. I'm like, oh my God, there's like, for example, I was 18 when I came out here. First time, my biggest audition was for a talent agency, a Clear Talent Group, right? And CTG. And I was there and I was like, wait, that is Jay Chenoa. Oh, that's Josh Kalaki. And I was just like, oh my God, this and this. And I was like, I'm in my brain, I was like, I'm not gonna get this. Like they are phenomenal dancers. Like what? And that mentality psyched me out from that because I scared myself. I scared myself, but I also, and now I think about stuff like that. I'm like, no, there's so and so, but also I'm in this room too. You have to switch the dial. And I was like, no, I'm in the room. Like they should be like, oh, who is he? As they are. Now it's like that's how they are now. But it's like you kind of gotta groom yourself and be like, hey, like switch it from, oh my God, they're inside here, like I'm not gonna get it, to actually I step in the room, they might be nervous now. And there's a switch in that. And that's why you gotta have to be so delusional in a sense to be like, but also delusion is just, it should be normalized when
It's
you,
dreaming. It's dreaming.
yeah,
It's seeing the opportunity. That's what it
yeah.
is. Delusion is seeing an opportunity where others might not, right?
Exactly, because I'm like, it's really not. It's just it's the norm. Like we should be able to see ourselves and express ourselves the way we see ourselves on a regular basis without it being, oh, you're doing a little too much, or maybe it won't work out, or it's dreaming. Like what is dreaming? Like no, this is the norm. That should be normal. What y'all are saying as, oh, it's scary or this and this, that should be the thing that's delusional. It should be switched.
So what does your family think today? I'm sure they thought you were crazy when you were
Yeah,
18.
yeah.
What 10 years later, and I know it, I don't want to keep you long, but I do want to hear about the Super Bowl. I definitely want to hear about the Super Bowl. But tell me,
I'm I'm
what's your family think about today? Are they, I'm sure they're supportive. No doubt.
yes.
They love you, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
are they still fearful for you, or they feel like, all right, you're in the right place?
And I think it's very interesting because when I was 18, like it's there's this whole thing, and that this might get into like that deep psychology of it all is like the people closest to you will never really fully believe in anything you do until you show them because of how you came from them, right? They know you at a certain point in time, and all they see is like the wild, the rebellious, the clumsy, the so like kid version of you because they're parents, or they change your diaper, right? And I think at a sense, like there's a type of essence where sometimes people can't believe as far as they've known you. And when you go on this journey by yourself, they have to relearn you because I always think to myself, I left at 18. So really all they know is from I was a fetus to 18. So they don't really know 19-year-old Deontay, 20-year-old Deontay, and so on until 28. So they don't understand the work, the determination, the drive, and everything that I've learned on my own because when I go back, that's how they see me, right? So during this journey, it's been interesting because when I was a kid, I was very nervous, I was very shy, I was very this and this, and I wasn't really as vocal as I was because I had a stutter. Um, and I literally like was so afraid to talk to in front of people. I was so afraid to really just like open up and be myself. Also being gay and having a stutter and being black and just all of these things were double whammies for me. And I just was not as shiny as I am now. My energy is impeccable, but like then it was not. So as soon as I left, they started to see this like independence. They started to see this like this new version of me. At first, it was kind of like, oh, you think you're better, you're Hollywood, you're this and this. And that wasn't just family, it was friends too. Like, oh, like who do you think you are type energy. And I'm just like the person I've always been. I just wasn't able to express that, you know? And I think after a while, people, not just your family or any, but people in general are very see it to believe it type of humans. So they have to see it. And I remember when I got my first big opportunity and gig, and that was later in life, like 26. I was 26 and I booked Lizzo. And that was the first one. And so when I shared that, then I think they were like, oh, like maybe he could really do it. But it kind of puts a damper on your connection with that appraisal from your family because this whole entire time, no slight or disrespect to them, but I was just like, I don't. At a certain point in time, the approval from them cut. I don't need their approval anymore. I don't need their validation. So honestly, I don't really care what they think because for so long it was, oh, it might be hard, it might be this. So they were the buzzing in my ear that was like this and this. So I kind of just like tune that out. And like it's not really like I love their support now, but in a sense, like it'd been easier if you just believed. And so that's why I tell parents and people like to like believe in your child 110% because that could be the one thing that is going to push them that extra level. Because the nagging and the this and this and that and the third, that's going to also it's not it's gonna give them this self-doubt because the person that's supposed to be on here and love them the most is literally being like maybe you aren't that special, like literally that's what people are saying, like maybe you're not that special or maybe you're not that talented. But and when we were kids I thought we were told we can be anything we want to be in our lives. So what happened to that? What happened to
Here,
that?
It's fear. As a parent, I know where that comes from. It's fear
Yeah,
because we're afraid for you and we want you to be safe and we want to hold you in our arms and keep you from all the bad things in the world.
yeah,
But that keeps you from becoming who you need to be.
yeah.
And,
And
you're teaching me something here, and I appreciate
no, you're welcome.
that.
It's a valid thing. Like, I talk to my mom all the time, and I was like, there were times when like you tried to coddle me, but I think I didn't need to be coddled. Like I needed to learn for myself what I can and cannot do, and that becomes fight or flight with my talents. Like I've learned that I am a strong person, and that should be something that you should be like, I believe in your strength. I believe in your talent because I know you're strong. I know you'll get it done and you'll figure it out, instead of being like, well, there's a billion people in this world. You think it's really going to be you? Like, how does that sound? That sounds crazy for someone that loves me to say. I'm like, okay, like it's that's what it sounds like. So I think along like for answer your question, it literally is like they have supported me, yes, and they support me now 10 times like more, but you can't eliminate the journey of that from 18 to the non-belief to now the belief. It's just like what I believe the entire time. Y'all are just catching up, and it's just and it's like it's I believe in myself all the time. So that's why when I tell people you kind of have to have blinders on and not really care about what anyone is saying. And it sounds so crazy. I say this all the time. I was like, I do not care about what anyone thinks of me, good or bad. I appreciate it, but I observe it, but I don't absorb it,
Oh, that's good.
like
Yeah.
I I really don't. I'm like, thank you so much. Thank you. If it's bad or good, thank you. But like, I don't let it stick to me because at the end of the day, my opinion of myself is the only thing that holds like validity. Like, it's the only thing that's valid, you know. And I think that right there is a better answer because I feel like that is. I love that my parents support me, but I don't care anymore that they didn't support me because they didn't for so long. And same thing with my friends that are reaching out of the blue and all this other stuff about, oh my God, I always believed you. I'm like, thank you so much. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. But there were times when you didn't. Like, I remember being in, like, saying stuff in college, I mean, in high school, and college even, that, like, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. And you always get those people that are like, yeah, you are. Okay. And there's not a slight, but it's also like that's the energy we live in because people don't believe in the journey of their arts, or they don't believe in it. They rather believe that I would, be a lawyer. To me, that is strange. like, to me, I'm like, I, I just, what about me screams lawyer? You know what I'm saying? Like, that sounds like normal. That's delusional to me. And I think it's just like, why would I do that? Like, that's not what I'm passionate about. I can go on about dreams and everything about that, but to answer that question, I would say like they believe and they support me now, and they have always supported. But I think, like you said about being a parent, it's kind of like you want your child to succeed, but you don't want them to fall. But you have to realize that the falling is where you actually learn who your child is. Because sometimes I have a bunch of friends back home, and we can have a real conversation. I remember say a real thing. A lot of people back home, they're on drugs, they are in jail, they have addictions and all these other things. And I think a real conversation that we need to have is that people just weren't poured into enough, you know. And being back home in Kentucky, in Madisonville, like we see it, we know it, we hear it, and it's like that is a real thing. And I know a lot of people that I grew up with that had dreams and had goals and everything else, and they are bright, but people didn't allow them to be great. So they didn't fly. I mean, they didn't fight. They flew and went away, and that is unfortunate. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I go so hard for what I do and I speak the way I speak because I had a group of people that friends of mine that dreamed of being like astronauts and going to Quebec and all these other things. And I grew up with them. Like, I'm like, I know y'all's dreams, but like, what is going on? You know, like I can name a few of them, but I'm just like, you lost your spark, and but it wasn't your fault. It was the world around you. It was maybe your parents that didn't pour into you. It was the people, your relationships, all life. But
Well,
um,
and you didn't give up. And there is something to that persistence that not
yeah,
everyone has.
yeah,
And I did want to ask you a quick question about what would you say to others about failure? Because they're undoubtedly, right, all
yeah,
of those, you've done a lot of things that people might say, well, you failed there, you failed there, failed.
yeah,
And maybe the first time you failed for somebody else, that would have been it. Like you did ran out of money
yeah,
and you've got to leave LA. Well, I guess I tried it
yeah,
and I'm done.
yeah.
What, how do you feel either about the word failure or, how does that, and I know that you've talked about the word no,
Mhm.
but how do you get over that hump of when you really feel like, I've tried everything, but what gets you to keep going?
You know, the the easy answer would be like faith. Like honestly, having faith in myself. I really have this faith of a mustard seed that everything will work out in my favor. My spiritual connection to God is really one of the things that has, over time, has literally kept me going. And then the other answer of that would be that if failure is one of the best teachers of life that we are ever going to have. Same with pain, same with wrath, everything, those things are teachers, And when we fail, I would say to those who are afraid of failing, like you need to fail as hard as you possibly can. See how hard you can fall because in that moment, that's where you truly, as I go back to that, that's where you truly find your grit. If you have it, if you don't, if you need to get some or if you need to learn for some. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to really fall rock bottom to understand what type of person you are. And if you don't have it, practice it. But just like we do with talents and talking about instruments earlier, practice your fear. Go outside. Like for example, go outside. I'm a dancer, right? So I had to get, I had to get comfortable with being seen because as a kid, I would dance in my room by myself, but sometimes going outside and dancing, I was like, people are watching me. But I'm like, if I want to be a dancer, people are going to watch me. So I need to get out of that. So what I would do is I would go in the middle of Hollywood or a park and I would bring my speaker and I would set it down, blast the music out loud, and I would dance like I was in my room. And I would do something that really terrified me, but I would tune people out. And I'd be in my own little world, and eventually the nerves left, the fear left, and also crowds around me started to form. And I was like, oh, you like, you know,
You
you know,
liked it too, right?
oh, like, I got a little crowd to watch me record me, and I'm just, wait a second. So, but there are times when I have failed the hardest, like I think what's gotten me through it is, for one, the first time was the worst, but and to get out of that, it was that fight or flight moment. Am I going to stay or am I going to go? And I left. I left. But over time, that nudge inside of you that is like, I did not give it my all. I didn't try my hardest. I just gave up. And I didn't ever want to feel like a person that just is like, oh, it's hard, I'm gonna give up, So you have to really self analyze and be like, what type of person are you? Are you a person that when things are just slightly hard, you give up? And if you are, cool, but you won't get anywhere in life like that, you know? But, and if you aren't, then also it's going to be even harder because you're going to have to pick yourself up because in this reality of world, people aren't going to pick you up and do it for you. And I know when I was sleeping in my car in Texas, I don't know if I said that before, that there was a time when I was rock bottom, I was in my car, you know, I had like lost my job because I wanted to do a gig and they wanted me to pick. They wanted me to choose. They're like, yeah, we're not going to be able to go on this gig, like, because you have to work. And I was like, kind of wasn't asking you, was letting you know, but you know, I was letting you know that I'm not going to be there. It's Lizzo, sorry. Um, and I just chose, right? With that choice, it also solidified my artistry and what I wanted to do, right? So I was just like, I have to do this. This is not important. So, but I lost that. In that, I was working in real estate. So I had a property based off my job, and I was like, oh, great. So I was like, I don't care. You know, I literally was like, I don't care. This is a big opportunity. Have to do this. So lost that, lost that. All I had was my car, right? And I was rock bottom. In that moment, I was just like, yeah, like this is really happening. But I was so excited. I had nothing, but I was like, oh my God, I'm dancing with Lisa. I'm training, like, you know, going to rehearsal. And I was like, yay. And then I get back and I'm like, shit, I have to go to my car.
In my
And I,
car.
yeah, and I was also teaching sold out dance classes, you know, and I was teaching at the YMCA, and I was just like, use the YMCA to shower while I was teaching the kids. Then at my dance studio, I had to wait for all the kids and adults to leave. So, and then I would act like I was like leaving as well, but just go around to the back and pop in the studio. And shout out to the owners for letting me do that because they were like, "You're an artist, and like we understand." So they helped me tremendously. But it was just like that. Having to do all that put into perspective of who I was, the type of person that I was. I wasn't gonna let anything stop me, any obstacle stop me, not having money, this, and this, the third, stop me from what I was meant to do. And I think that right there is where people need to analyze. They need to be like, listen, am I the type of person that with this dream I have, if nothing works out, am I still gonna fight for it and am I gonna give it up? You know, am I gonna leave? And I did it once and I was like, I'm not doing that again. And the second time in that moment, a crazy thing happened because I did hit rock bottom and I was like, I have to now that they wouldn't let me stay in the studio that long because like it was a week. I was like, yeah, I know, I feel you. So I was like, I have nothing, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I have nothing. Like what am I gonna do? And I was in Austin, Texas with no family and nothing. It was just me by myself. And I was like, I don't know. And that was my one of my lowest points. I was just like, I literally have no idea. The gig is over. I'm back to reality. And I'm just like, what do I do? And then I was like, do I go home? Or do I join the military? Because that was the only option that I felt I had at the time. I was like, ugh. I said, if the dream is done, well, I've always said my backup to the backup is military. And I did. I went and I almost signed up. And a crazy thing happened when I got there. I like signed I was about to sign my life away. But I was like, can I just have a moment to go to my car and just chill? And I was like, can I just breathe for a second? And so I went outside. In that moment, I literally just prayed. I was like, I said, God, listen. I said, this is not what I'm supposed to do. Make something happen.
I need a sign.
I need to make something happen. So I go back inside there and literally, it's so crazy. Like I go back inside there and NKU earlier years, one year, I signed up with the army just to do it. You know, I didn't follow through with it, but I did it. And I go into there because I was going to the Air Force, and they said, "Well, there's pending things you can't do this right because you have signed up to be in the army, and so you can't really do that now. So you have to wait for them to send your paperwork back, and so we're gonna have to stop this and wait." And I said, "Oh, got my stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's
Wow.
bye." And after that, I said, okay. I said, so now I know that this is not meant for me and I'm meant for this. Like, I'm meant to do this. So I go home and I'm at home in Kentucky, and I said I'm at my mom's, and she in Madisonville. Oh my God, I couldn't get that out. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, okay, like I need to like, am I gonna be the kid that people know as a dreamer and try to make it, and that's it? I gave up. I came back home, and I was like, no. So I sit in my computer and I brainstorm. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I have to do this. I got to do this differently. I just unpacked my journey thus far, right? And I was like, okay. And I was like, but it's hard. Like, what am I gonna do? And I was like, I think I'm done. Like, I got to a point. I was like, I think I'm done. Like trying. Like I have tried for so long, and nothing's happening. I tried for so long, and I just feel like I'm talented, yes, but maybe I'm not that talented. Maybe it's not in the parts, or maybe I'm just supposed to, figure something different out. And I sat with that for a little, and I just was like, but it can't be. Like, I was like, it can't be. There has to be more. So I go to my friends in Louisville's, and I just get a job at UPS. I enroll at U of L for psychology because I was like, if I was fells, I would love to, study psychology. I love the study of humans and the brain, and I just love that. So I was like, let me do that instead. I loved it for a little bit, but then I worked at UPS, and I worked at UPS for a day. Okay. Let me tell you, for a day, I was like, oh, I'm too tall to be bending down and getting this box in. I said, I can't. So I quit, and I was like, this is not for me. And I got like I wasn't sick, but I got spiritually sick. Like I was just sick of that I had, it's like the magic of my world had just been siphoned out, and like I just felt so like human.
And you weren't doing what you love to do. Like
To
that
do
passion wasn't
was
there.
not
And you didn't
there.
have the sunshine of California. And
The magic was not there. Like I felt like my passion was like, I was like, this is just not, I can't live like this. I need my passion, right? And so I quit, but I was sick a little bit. And then I was like, okay, in bed, covered over me. I'm like, what am I doing here? Again, I looked at I looked at plane flights to Los Angeles, and this is in 2023. It's the last, this is the time here I'm now. So it's my last time. I was like, am I gonna do this? And I was like, I have no money. I was like, what am I gonna do? I have no money. I was like, okay, let's just see how much I got from working that little day, and we're gonna figure it out. The plane ticket was 155. In my account was 177. I've never pressed the button so fast in my life. I said click, and I was on a plane. Wasn't sick anymore. The crazy thing is, I was not sick when I didn't feel like ill or icky the moment after I pressed that button. It was like a fire had been lit inside me again, and I was like, I'm going back. Even though it was crazy, even though what some crazy stuff had happened, COVID was a part of it. Losing my job, it was a part of it. Also, people wanted to exploit me because not because of my talent, but because of the way I look, And that was wild. That dream, that busted my bubble too. I was like, oh, you want me in that type of way, but not my talent. And I said, is this the industry that I want to be in? And I was like, that just burst my bubble. And I was like, hmm. So I wasn't going to go back to Los Angeles, is what I'm trying to say. I was done because there were so many factors pulling me away from it. But I think it also is tests. We have tests to see what if we're fight or flight, right? So I get the flight, go to Los Angeles for the last time, and I'm like on this plane. I say, God, this time I'm literally just gonna let you allow things to just flow. I'm not gonna control. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna do this, say I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna be like, here, whatever happens is coming my way, it's gonna come my way, and I'm gonna get it. And as soon as I get off the plane, I say that, and here we are, 2025. And it has been the longest I've been here consecutively. And it has been the most time, like, first in my career, like, big milestone moments for me in my career have happened thus far. And I say that to say, like, the journey is one of the hardest and most grueling things that I've experienced, but I think that has pruned me to be a type of artist and a type of dreamer that when it's all said and done, I think I will be one of the greats because I didn't take the stairs. I mean, I didn't take the elevator. I took the stairs, Like, I literally took a 10-year route to get to where I am versus the ample amount of opportunity to take the elevator. And I chose my moral, my morale, my own ingenuity, my own power, my own ideas and creativity, because realistically, there's ways, and some people want to get 15 minutes of fame fast, but I've always said as a kid, like, I want something that's like long lasting, that's legendary. I want something that is, going to be a test of time, and I want to inspire the world. And I think in doing that, I need to go through a grueling pruning to do that. Because life has been crazy. But I think it's very beautiful when you are able to inspire with your story, you know, and that is why I tell people honor your highs and honor your lows because they are designed for you and the people that you can touch with your story and what you've been through because people will resonate. We each have our own individual audiences, right? And that's what we're supposed to touch those with. Not the people that don't believe, not people that are on the left or right of you trying to mess you up or whatever like that, but the people that get you and resonate with you, those are who we're supposed to talk to. And I think our stories and our journeys as artists align us with those people. And
The
that's
best,
why.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but the best teachers
Mhm.
had the hard road. The worst teachers I had at Murray State were like, "What do you mean you can't hear this? What do you mean why don't you understand this? It's so easy," because it was easy for them.
Yeah.
But those you are going to be 30, 40 years down the line, or not, maybe 20, or even now, the best teacher of
Mhm.
those who will come behind you because you can share your story and inspire
Yeah.
people
Thank
to
you.
not give up. I mean, you are amazing. I want you to be my new best friend. I want you to mentor my kid. And it's you are a shining star, and I haven't even seen you dance. I don't it has nothing to do with your talent, but in terms of your communications, you're definitely a communicator of dreams and hard work, and your story is incredible, and I
Thank,
hope you share that with
thank you.
others. And I truly believe, you've got a pretty good commencement speech. Like you would be a great commencement speaker for high school and college,
Yeah.
because of inspiring people at that crossroads of
Yeah.
life, that transition to what to do, what not to do. You have so many, and what I do plan to do is watch this. I'm gonna make my kid watch it too, and I think she'll love you. I think she'll want you to be your.
Hi,
Uh,
kid. What's
I
your
know
name?
her name, CJ,
Hi, CJ.
and Ella too. Ella
Uh,
and CJ are my kids, and but okay, before we go, so you've got to tell me what was the Super Bowl like?
oh, the Super Bowl, like it literally was like it's a dream. It's an unexpected dream, but it was the most like beautiful dream experience ever because of, for one, the message with like being with like artists that want to like say something is the highlight, because there's a lot of artists that just say fluff and just, you know, push the industry. But Kendrick, he had a vision that was well executed, and it was very particular. You know, like he knew everything he wanted to say. Everything was very nitpicky, and it was his vision, and that is so inspiring because he trusted what he wanted to say and said it without any limitation. And then in Charm, being able to receive that and execute the vision on a grand scale like that was just so inspiring for me as an artist, and also, excuse me, also me as a choreographer, because I was just like, I got to see two realms and two ways of my artistry be perceived, because I've always wanted to tell a story and say stuff that matters, but then I also want to do grandiose things with like my dancing choreography. It just brought two of my worlds together, and the full circleness of it for me was very interesting because like I started off, you know, dancing, and then also started off. My first performance ever was at a basketball game in the halftime, and then this halftime was just 10 years later. It was so many synchronicities, and it was just so big, and it was grandiose. And I stepped out there, and I looked around. And I was like, oh my God, there's so many people, and I didn't even think about all the people that were home watching, you know. And I was just like, that is crazy. It was just so. It was very euphoric, and I think that it's one of those moments that define my life, for the like define me and my journey, and like that I've gotten to a level and a point that a dream has come true. You know, like a dream has come true. But for me, it's also very interesting because I feel like it's kind of scary, not in a like a beautiful way, that like this is February. Well, it was February and month two of 2025, and I just feel like literally that is just beginning. You know, there's so much to happen after. I'm like, what else is going to happen, you know? So it kind of gave me this like, oh, that was a moment where I was just like, oh, I like wanted to do something like this, and it came very quickly, and I was just like, just means like the other, so many other things bigger than that are going to be happening. I'm just like, I can't even imagine what that mean, you know, so what that means. And it's a, for me, I take things from, I try to view things from like a God's eye view, bird's eye view. And I'm just like, for me, that solidified a 10-year journey and a new 10-year moment for me starting, and bigger dreams, bigger expectations, bigger things and everything. And it just solidified that dream I made at 18 came true. And then it's a dream that I made at 28 that I'm just like, when I'm 38, I literally am going to have another moment where that happens for me. And I just feel like I'm so excited to see where that happens. But the Super Bowl itself was so beautiful, so well put together, so tight knit. Rehearsals were insane to see.
How long did you rehearse?
Oh,
Like, how
we
many
were
rehearsals did you have?
we had 2 weeks of rehearsal, jam packed. We did it from what, a 12 to 8. We did a 10 to 7. Those were kind of the days, like back to back to back. Um, Even sometimes we went past 11, which is crazy. But it didn't feel like work. It really was just going. It was so fun. I know, it's just it's so crazy. I feel like my
Did
phone.
did they like explain um you know, as you're learning the choreography, because it was clearly, everything was clearly intentional,
Yeah.
um, and very prescripted and prescribed. Did
Hmm.
they explain that to you? You know,
Story.
this is, yeah.
Yeah. So when we got the like the story, it was more so the music first. Like we heard the music, we heard everything, and at first people were like, "Oh, it's about Drake," like, you know. But then it was like kind of like the little elements and nuances of Samuel Jackson being in there, like,
Wait,
damn.
what?
Yeah, you know, and then seeing the street and all these elements came after. So it was just like, it was very interesting because it was kind of hush hush. Like I think artists want to be secretive with their stuff, and then it's so exciting when it comes full together, because then they're like, oh, like this is why we're doing this. This is why this section was this section, this section was that section, and this was here, and this firework blew here. Like it came together pretty well. But I would say Kendrick was very hush hush with the information that he wanted to display, because I think he wanted us to be excited too, and to also be wowed as well. And which was I took that as a gem to be like, okay, I would love to implement that in a way of like just I don't know, being having the whole crew and cast excited about what's to come, because it brings more of a passionate thing. And we started off saying like we're making history. You know, this is a black one of the blackest Super Bowl performances, you know, in Black History Month, you know, and it just it was history made, it was history defining, and I feel like it was so crazy to be a part of that, and just to see it all was insane. And I'm just like watching it back, I'm just like, oh my god, like it's crazy.
It's brilliant. And then the controversy that follows,
Hmm.
uh, you know, even even the people who don't like it, if you're still talking about it.
Which is that's a good thing, you know, that's a good thing. Things that make us think and make us, you know, have a conversation, I think are gems, you know, and it makes you reflect. And the people that don't like it, it's like ask yourself why you didn't like it, you know? What about it did you not like? And also, even did you even get what it was saying?
Right.
Or did you not even hear because you didn't like it? You know? And I think that is very, because I've heard a lot of stuff, especially from back home, that people just didn't like it at all. And I was just like, I think it's just because there's a disconnect. And I think that that disconnect is what we need to work on and figure
It's,
out.
it's the same reason they don't like Cowboy Carter.
Hey, no, it's definitely
I
the
mean,
reason.
and it was so funny because I was telling my class, I, to be honest, I did not know who Kendrick Lamar was until the Grammys,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of like, ooh, interesting song of the year, record of the year. I mean, I had heard about the whole Kendrick Drake thing, but I'm 49 years old. I'm a different generation,
Yeah.
and so, uh, um, but so I, instead of being like, well, why didn't, and I'm a singer, so of course I like melody, I like rap, but I like the old school rap. I'm the
Same.
80s, 90s rap. That's just, that's
Yeah.
what I grew up with, right?
I love it.
But I was like, okay, he's a Pulitzer Prize winner. I need to, before I'm gonna diss this guy
Mm-hmm.
again. I don't know anything about Kendrick Lamar, but clearly a big group of people, 13,000 people voted, and they gave him this award. So I'm gonna have to check him out. And then I find out he's doing the Super Bowl,
Yep.
and I'm like, mouth dropped over, and my kids are singing whatever, but I'm like, oh my gosh, do people realize
Mm-hmm.
the story here?
And no,
And a lot of people didn't, but I was like, this is the most well thought out production of the Super Bowl. But if you don't understand the production, you won't like it. You will have missed, it will have meant nothing to you if you don't think a little more deeply.
exactly.
But it was so funny because in 1 week's time, we had Beyonce and
Yep.
we had Kendrick Lamar. And I was like, wow.
Also, Cynthia, like,
Well, and oh my gosh, last night, the
mhm.
Oscars,
Yep.
like I had the most out of body emotional experience hearing her sing Defying Gravity live. I mean, I burst into, I was just a blubbering, couldn't breathe. I was totally overtaken with emotion.
Yeah. No.
And when that happens, that is the purpose of art. Like for
Yeah.
me, I mean, I just, Cynthia, and I didn't know a whole lot about her either. I mean, to be quite honest, Wicked,
Yeah.
I'm one of those people. Everybody likes Wicked, so I'm not going to see it,
Yeah.
Or Hamilton. That Hamilton was the same for me. Every time I Hamilton, I was like, okay, I'm in Chicago. I
Yeah.
guess I'll go see what this is all about. And oh my gosh, we all know, my kids and I all know every single word
Yeah.
to Hamilton. We just saw it on Broadway, fourth row. It was amazing. The
Beautiful.
cast, the cast right now on Broadway, I think, is better than the original. Is The cast right now is amazing. But like Wicked, and then I see the movie and I'm like, oh my gosh, why have I never seen this?
No, when I watched the ending scene, what
Oh,
done something to me. I was just like,
oh my god, I cry every time.
I cry.
I cry every single time. It doesn't matter.
No,
It
when
the cinematography at the end of that film.
beautiful, the cape flying, that moment. What
Yes.
got is the little version of her and her grabbing the broom at the same time. That
Yes.
gets it's so
I
beautiful.
have chill bumps right now. I
It's
do. I have chill bumps.
like because I was just like for me I've just been like it's just not it's just for me it was just so solidifying and I was like defying gravity. The lyrics, it's like
Uh,
it's so telling. I resonate so much with Alphaba, and I was just like, it came out at a beautiful time. Cynthia is a voice of a generation and once in a lifetime voice. And I don't know, there's something about that. And Defying Gravity is a staple. And when she hit that riff of like no wizard or
oh, I was just about to say the same. I mean, how does that resonate as
mhm,
politically right now?
yes,
Right?
yes,
No wizard that there is or was.
will ever
Well,
break down.
down. I know. I just and her composure. She is just
Regal.
so glamorous and regal. And I love Ariana.
Mhm. Oh,
But
yeah.
you know how you could tell her nerves because of her breath. You know, she was like taking a breath every three
Mhm.
every three syllables because that's the first thing you lose when you're nervous is your
Uh-huh.
breath. That's the first
Yeah.
thing you lose. And then you have Cynthia, and she was just so uh, the professional. Uh,
Just just like
uh,
calm. Like the way
yeah,
she's singing, she's just so calm and just effort. It's just
yeah.
boom. I love it. I
She
love it.
she and Jennifer Hudson could read me a brochure and sing me a
Yeah.
brochure. I don't care. She could sing me. We used to have phone books. You know, she could sing me the phone. Care. But
I
I'm
love
actually heading. I used to say that Jennifer Hudson was my favorite, but I think Cynthia. I
mm,
think she's
she
she's.
she's
I want her
amazing.
to sing at my funeral.
No, she is amazing. I love that movie. And that's the thing. I love art. Like I my favorites are artists that like just exude this type of that type of energy, that regal essence, that like beauty, that calmness, which is all I aspire to have. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so crazy and interesting because that movie came out and I never seen the play or anything.
I have either.
And I was like, oh wow, like I became a fan. I became a fan.
And that the second act.
Mm-hmm.
No, oh my gosh, the duet between the two, and then the duet with her and Fiero. Oh my, and Jonathan Bailey.
I know. I know. I cannot
What?
wait.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's going to be amazing. And thinking about all the things we're talking about, I'm sure there were several times in her life and career where she could have given up
Yeah.
and she would have missed out on this amazing opportunity that was, to put those two singers together and that director together and those people together to create this work of art. It was God given. It was written in the stars. It was, you
Yes.
know, the Big
Beautiful.
Bang.
No, I love it because that's also those things like that's inspiring, because it's like I know for a fact most people like for example Cynthia, as we were talking about her, is like I feel like there are those moments and I've watched the interviews and stuff like that when she's talking and she's just like saying like what's for you is for you, and because there were so many things that weren't for me, but the things that are for me were grandiose, they were big, and I think it's all about timing, it's all about learning your journey. So what I've learned from that is literally like what we learn in this life, is literally used. That's why one of my favorite quotes is all the tools we have are already inside us. Like they literally are. Like everything that we need in this life, we already have. It's just the world tries to tell us to throw those tools away, or hide them. But like those things are the things that are supposed to shoot us up and allow us to shine in our own way. Um, And I just think it's a beautiful thing. That's why art matters so much. That's why I'm for the music teacher, the art teacher, dance teachers, the ones in school, because those are the teachers that when I was in school, like I cling to the most. I wasn't into history. I wasn't into this and this. I wasn't into science and everything else. And like, but like, I would always be in the art room, the music room. I'd always be in the like the a gym, like all the creative outlets. That's where I was 24/7. I bonded with those teachers. Even the library, I was always with the librarian. And it's just like I think there's a need and a realm for kids like that. Like I was one of those kids, you know. I was one of those kids that just felt ostracized and not a normal or a misfit of sorts, you know. And I think it was because there wasn't a lot of people that saw and thought the same way I did, or wanted to create and express the same way I did. And I think we need more of that, you know. So I think it's beautiful to have people that value that and want to instill that in the next. Because, like you said earlier, when I was 12, when you were 12, like you wish somebody said that to you. I was like, when that was me, like I wish that someone's poured into me the way I can pour into people now. But I think I became the person that I like needed then. Like I became that superhero, and I hold value in that because now little me is just so like jumping for joy, you know, like his dream came true and like he gets to do all these things and he really didn't think that it would happen, you know, and I get to nurture that. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful circle moment. And I would tell people, I would tell kids, your daughter, you, everyone, is that when you start, like believe the first thing is to believe that you can really do anything in this world. Um, because the world, you step outside of high school, when you step outside of school like that, it tries to tell you what you can't do first. It really shows you what you can't do. But you have to be so 10 toes and believe in yourself so much that the moment that it says you can't, you prove it wrong. And that's why I think being an underdog and being underestimated is one of the craziest things people can ever do to you, is underestimate you and put you in a category that makes you feel under them, because there's always that chance possibility that you would fight and make your dreams come true. And that's why things happen, you know? And it's a beautiful thing.
And I
But
think, well, and the thing is, a lot of people wouldn't fight. I was probably that kid who was maybe told maybe this isn't right for you. And at times in my life, I believed them,
yeah,
and I didn't fight for it. But we need to, what's going to happen is the person who is fighting is going to pass up the person who
yeah,
gives up. You
yeah,
know, it's the tortoise and the hare. The
yes,
tortoise keeps going. Even
yep,
if the hare thinks, "Hey, I'm good enough. I can sit back here. I'm good." The forward progress
yep.
and
Small.
the slow, tiny little steps
Mm-hmm.
gets that tortoise to the finish line first.
Yep.
And even if his legs hurt or his head hurts or that shell is heavy,
Yes.
keeps moving forward, and doesn't give up, doesn't take the elevator. I love that. Don't
No,
take the elevator.
don't take the elevator because it's
Don't
everyone.
take the elevator.
Like you know when you are like going somewhere and there's an elevator and there's stairs, like everyone wants to take that elevator, you know, everyone wants to, but no one takes the stairs, and there's just only select few people who take the stairs. But there's a type of peace that comes with that. That's what I learned. Like even at the metro, everyone wants to take the escalator up, and I'm just like, you rarely see people take the long stairs. And one day I did that, and I was just an analogy popped in my head, and I was just like, you know, some people really just want to get things done very quickly, and that's it. It's just fast, you know, and then you forget about it. But like, there's a rare amount of people in this world right now that I see just taking the stairs in life. Like, even looking at society, we want things quick, instant gratification. We want things very, very fast, very quick. And even our food, the way we grocery shop, the way we do everything, we want it now. We want to microwave our stuff. Like, we don't take time to sit and have family dinners anymore and stuff like that. It's just, we want things very fast. And I think this there's a new era of coming of like, we have to kind of think about what peace looks like, and peace looks like calmness. It looks like taking the stairs because you're not in a rush, you're not in a hurry, And I don't know. There's something about taking the stairs that you see everything. I had a guy I was speaking with the other day, and he was talking about how he's so go 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 that like he hasn't seen grass cut, or he doesn't the last time he smelled fresh grass and just stopped to smell that. And I was like, that is so profound, because I was just like, yeah, like I thought about it, I was like, I don't remember that either. I don't remember when I just like was walking or something like that, and I just looked at my surroundings around me and just sat there and was present
In the
in,
moment. Yeah.
in the moment. And I think there's so much to learn about being in the moment of life, because those moments that we go through, I feel like literally teach us so much. Because for me, I am not, the knowledge and wisdom that I have has come from life. Like it's come from my experience. It's come from that. I was not taught anything. I didn't study anything. I studied life. I studied my trials and tribulations. I studied my path. The knowledge has come from my perspective, and I just think there's some weight in that. There's something beautiful about analyzing your story to a T and figuring out who you are. So if I can get any advice to anybody, it'd be like the first thing you should do as being an artist is to find out who you are. Because the moment I found out who Deontay was, everything changed. Like I I know myself to a T. I know myself like the back of my hand, and I love him. And without having that whatever it is, when you say stuff like that, you kind of feel like, oh, egotistical, whatever. And it's just like we need to get out of the habit of not showering ourselves in front of other people. Because another thing from back home that I learned, my last little gem, is that when people around you from back home, for me, it was always I was dimming my light so much that I didn't allow myself to shine in places out of hurting other people's feelings, or making myself seem arrogant or egotistical, whatever the case may be, because I felt like they weren't they were worried about other people's lives but not their own. And I felt like in that moment I needed to dim myself so I could give them space. And I think we do that too often, where we dim ourselves in rooms, dim ourselves in conversations, dim ourselves in environments, because we don't want to be the center of attention. But it's not even about the attention, it's about showing up as yourself in spaces, and that flows in work, that flows in life, relationships, dynamics, creatively, auditions, everything. Like I learned to show up as myself, because myself is I am unique, I am beautiful, I am talented, I am all the great things about myself when I step into these rooms. But if I don't think that, then I won't be that. I won't operate and step into those rooms. And those are things that I would tell people, young people, is that the things that make you weird, the things that make you quirky, and all these other things are the things that you need to share, because the people that are meant for you will see value in that and love that about you. There's no point in hiding behind these you know, false identities just to appease people that don't matter, because they're not going to see the real you. It doesn't make any sense. I think to tell kids now, like, they need to start really fully being themselves and expressing their likes, even if they're weird, because other people will be like, wait, I like that too. That's really cool. You like that, instead of hiding and shying away from it, because that's what we're taught. Like it's so long for me when I was a kid growing up in back home, is there's so many things about myself that people didn't know. People didn't know I wrote. People didn't know I like music. People didn't know I sung and all these other things. They did found that out later. But as growing up, I hid those things because I was like, boys don't do that. I'm not supposed to sing and want to be in dance theater and stuff like this. Because for me, I wanted to be in theater and back in the day, but I just didn't think that that was something that I could do with a group of people that were around me. That was jocks and stuff like that. But deep down, I wanted to. I wanted to write. I wanted to join a creative writing class, or creative writing group outside of school. I wanted to do all these things. And I urge people, like my sister, she's 16. And I'm like, I urge her to have a list of things she likes to do and do those regardless of anyone else around them. Like literally do what it is you want to do because the people that really are supposed to be for you or see you will see you operating like that. And those will be your people that believe in you. Because people can't believe in what they don't believe in themselves, you know? And I don't know. That's what I would tell kids because I get a lot of messages about like how did I do it and all these things. But one thing is I literally just kept going for I never gave up, no matter if it's hard, crazy, even if I was homeless or, I didn't give up. Honestly, I just was like, I'm gonna make it, whatever. I'll figure it out. And the other thing was just like that faith and believing in myself, despite what anyone else is saying. Like it didn't matter if somebody was like, oh my God, like he's almost da da da. I always took it back to like, well, I might be doing this, but I'm happy and I'm passionate about what I'm doing. And I have more riches than anything because I know myself. I feel like gold because I'm talented and I have something I love where a lot of people can't say that. And I took, hold of that. I was like, that means more than all the material things. It means more than having the white picket fence to me. And, I'd rather be happy than in a place where I regret or that I just don't, I'm not passionate about something. Because I've been in a lot of rooms where people like, they have dreams, right? Or they had dreams or whatever. But, and some people I've met and come across, they don't have any. I'm just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a privilege for me to be able to have dreams and go for them where I know people that just they don't have them.
Well,
And
they haven't done the self-reflection.
yeah, like I mean, I know a kid like who is just like, yeah, I just never sit and thought about like what I'm passionate about. And I'm just like, I love psychology, so I'm curious. I'm just like, wow, it's very interesting. But I'm just like, what do you mean? There is nothing that you just want in this life when anything that you would do for free, you know? No. And I'm just like, for me, it made me realize that there is something special in that. And I think we need to really hold our like one thing. I would like people to hold on to the uniqueness and the special how special it is for us to dream, because kids like we're told to dream and have imaginations and I think we're told to do all this stuff and be we can be anything we want to be in this world and I believe them, when they told me that when I was a kid. Oh really? Okay. Like I believe that, like I believe that I could be anything I wanted to. My mom the other day, we were chatting after the news and everything, and she was just like, you always would say that when I was a kid that I wanted to be on TV and I want to talk and all these things. She said I would play with my sisters as if I literally I just got done off a movie set and I'm talking about my movie. I'm talking about this and this on the red carpet. And she said it's always been there. And I would always do the Disney Channel thing, like like it was. I would always do that. And I'm just like, I think the things that we did as kids are the things we're supposed to do because we already know who we are. We already know what we want to do, but like life happens and it tests us to see if we're truly going to stick to that. And I want I want parents to analyze their kids because mine didn't really. Like I'm the kid in that scenario. I want parents to analyze their kids and see their likes and see what they do because that is literally who they are. Like if your kid picks up a paintbrush, they're an artist. They are meant to do that. Like if your kid picks up a book, they're doing something in that realm. Like I think like that is the thing that we're missing because my parents saw that all that and everything, but like some of them are just like that's not it's not gonna make you any money. And I think when we think about money, think about
Yeah.
this and that ruins it. It ruins the illusion, the vision because it takes away the kids' imagination. Like
Well, and I think, we tell them you can be everything you want, But then we say, okay, you have to take these AP classes and you have to take the ACT and you have to go to college and you have to fit this particular path. But if
Yep.
the kid's dream doesn't follow that path,
Yep.
and of course, there are kids who don't know what they want to do. And so that's not a bad path because, as you said, I love the fact that college is where you found yourself. And, at a community college, it's like, well, you got to have, you go to college, get your degree so you have a job.
Yeah.
Well, some people get here and they still don't know what they want to do. And we need degrees and time for them to take all these different classes to figure out what it is
Yeah.
that they want to do. And, part of the reason I think LA worked for you best in 2023 is also maturity. Our brain isn't fully developed till we're 25 or 26. And we're asking kids at 17, 18 to make these huge life decisions.
Yep.
And you weren't ready yet.
No. Got everything at 18, like I would fumble. I didn't know who I was. But also for community college, like students, I would tell them that there is that essence of going to community college and immediately you want going for a job, which is beautiful, and that there's nothing to take away from that. If you are really sitting there and wanting to do what you want to do, that is great. We also
If you
need to,
really want to be a nurse,
if
then
you
you need to get in there and
do it, but like we need to also uplift people and tell and like understand that there is such a thing. Like this is one thing I tell people because I have a lot of friends that I've lost, and with this way of thinking, because there is I have some friends that I just don't speak to anymore because they're like, my life isn't like yours. I'm not chasing this. I'm not doing this and everything else. And they have this insecure falseness that they have to compare themselves to people, right? And I think that what people need to understand is that your dreams do not have to be as grandiose as someone else's. They don't have to be in that way because maybe that's never going to be you, or it's no interest to you, right? But like your dreams are the things that you're passionate about. If you're passionate about being a nurse, then go for that wholeheartedly. There are people that believe in you. I want to tell people, like, if anything you're passionate about, I'm one person that if anything you want to do in this world, no matter if it's acting, this and this, or welding, coal mining, or being a nurse, going to military, or being a doctor, lawyer, like physician, anything you want to do, just do it with passion and vigor and be the best that you can do in that field, because I've run into a lot of people that hate or have this insecure outlook that they're not doing something grand, like big. And I'm just like, but you are, because maybe you're the first person in your family that's going to actually succeed at being a nurse. Maybe you're the first person in your family that actually will become a doctor, will become a lawyer, will become a welder, own their own company of doing that. Because, and I think we need to pour into that as well, because there's so many people that I know that look to their left and right and compare. And I think there is a beauty in chasing your dream, and no dream is too small, no dream is too big. I think we that needed to be said, just because I know a lot of people back home that I am so connected to that have said those type of things when it comes to me. And I'm like, I just when I'm asking people how they're doing, some people have said, "Oh, well, I'm not doing anything like you or whatever." But I'm like, no. But like, I asked you how you're doing. I would really want to know how are you doing, or how is your job, or how is this and this, because that is a big deal. You know, I think we need to stop minimizing things that aren't seen as, or having the realm of fame and all these other things. Like, there are some really great people doing really great things with the dreams that they are given and pursuing, and I just wanted to say that because I know, because coming from Madison, I just know that there is a lot of small mindedness, and we were taught, I think we're unintentionally taught to think small, think less of ourselves, and think smaller of ourselves. um, and I have always hated that. And I've always tried to not be a part of that, and I think people need to also not be part of that. Because for me, I'm not gonna lie, I had the opportunity to go to MCC, but I wasn't gonna go to MCC because I didn't want to stay close to my hometown. And I didn't want to uh, get trapped in the fear, right? And I didn't want to get trapped in the fear. And I'm not saying that because I know you guys are at MCC. I'm saying that because I was afraid of never leaving Madisonville, right? And I think I have friends that went to MCC. I'm like, my advice to them was to go to MCC, literally get everything you want or need from there, but still leave. Like, still go as soon as you after, don't stay. I know a lot of people that graduated and stayed there, like do what you want to do. We're adults, but also in the sense, I think that life is calling immediately after you graduate from CC. You have the tools now, use them in other places and not be afraid to get out, because you can always come home.
Exactly. That's what I always say is, look, especially for even just 4 year, if you have a choice to go to Murray in Madisonville or Murray at Murray State,
Hmm.
go. It's
Hmm.
only a couple years.
Yeah,
Go see
yeah.
what it's like living somewhere else, even if it's just 90 miles away, or go study abroad
Please
for,
let me know.
yeah, go see how the rest of the world works, because it's not like us. We are 1/24th. The United States is 1/24th of the world's population.
Yeah,
1/24th. And yet we think we're the only way.
yeah.
And
No.
I mean, we are 1/3 of 1 billion people, and there are 8 billion people on the planet, and yet we won't. There's so much to
There's,
see that we won't be able to see all of it. But
um,
if we just stay in one place
hmm.
and not meet new people and new viewpoints and new
Yep.
perspectives, and just the human race,
Yes.
is so vast,
Yeah.
that we're missing out on learning so much and meeting so many amazing people and having so many amazing experiences
Mm.
if we stay safe.
Literally, I like that's one of my biggest things about being back home is like I love where I grew up and where I come from because it molded me to who I am. But I will tell everyone, and my brothers and sisters, I'm just like, the best thing I've ever did was get out of Madisonville in the most respectful way. Because I think, like, literally the most respectful way. I love home. I love home, but I literally feel like I found myself outside of its walls. It was kind of like the movie Diversion, or you got to get out of like she had to get out of her faction to literally figure out who she was, And I feel like Madisonville is like, I'm a movie buff, so y'all bear with me, but a movie buff. She was abnegation, which is the selflessness, small time minded stuff, and then she went to immediately to dauntless, like brave and jumping off buildings. I'm just like, that's the essence that I feel like we need, because back home we're not taught about anything outside of that. Like I know people that literally, like we were talking about earlier, just have been only gas station to gas station and love it, and but also have so much to say about the world but have never experienced the world. And I've always valued myself like, let's not stay like that. Let's seek knowledge. Let's seek a new version of ourselves. There can be a version of you that is living in Florida or Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, wherever the case may be, and like you are a completely different person. You learn some new things about you. You do some things you thought you would never do. And I think that knowledge that you learn, and then you go back home and you show your family, the people around you, like, I'm a different person. Like, what'd you do? Well, I moved to here and I've learned this, this, and this, and this. And I think that is what we're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to stay in our hometowns forever. The message is literally for me is that like the best thing I've ever done was got out of my hometown. Because if I would have stayed, I really don't know where I would be in life. Like, and that's
Well,
true.
you very well could be happy and have a family and a
Yeah.
job and all of that, and you can have a happy life.
Yes.
But the things that you have done in these last 10 years,
Yes.
you wouldn't have experienced, and you wouldn't be the person you are today, and you wouldn't have grown. You would
Yes.
have grown in a different way,
Yes.
but
Growth is what I'm saying. Like, yes.
growth, yes, it's all about growth.
No, the whole journey, besides me being a talented artist and everything else, like the most beautiful thing about my journey is the growth from 18 to now. Like I feel like I'm a completely different person, and I feel like I'm so evolved, and I just feel so sure of myself. And I want people to have the same sureness, the same confidence, and the same unique essence, because I feel like when you're growing up in the same environment, you don't allow yourself to explore you, and I just urge people to explore themselves in other places or in general. You can explore yourself home, but like books and different conversations, like talking to people with unique cultures and backgrounds and everything else, just getting to know something completely different teaches you out the jump. And I think that we don't necessarily have a lot of that back home. And
Well,
that's one.
why do you think I contacted you on Messenger and spent the last 2 hours with you? Like,
Yeah,
what an exciting for me. I don't know about you, but like having this
I
conversation
love
with
it.
you and meeting you and
Yeah,
learning all these stories and these connections
yeah,
and this kind of building relationships with, and it was so funny too because I think it was the alignment of all the planets. I don't know what it was about Friday, but
yeah.
like Friday, I I talked to my college roommate from Florida State that I haven't. She teaches at Murray, and I haven't talked to her in a super long time. But like, she's gonna come to Madisonville, and she's gonna play for my class, and we're gonna perform together. And like it was just like I talked to you, and then I talked to her,
Hey,
and then I like booked, I'm gonna help the dance studio here. They're gonna do a song from Dear Evan Hansen that has a choir in it, and I'm gonna get kids together and
yeah.
sing, And so, it's amazing when all these things. I was meant to see
Yes.
that article about you, and I was meant to contact you because I feel like we can build on this relationship.
I
There's
agree.
no doubt that I'm going to think of 1,000 other questions that I want to ask you. and,
Hey, hey,
and the next time I'm in LA
yeah,
to
no, I'm
visit my brother, I'm definitely going to look you up for
yeah.
sure.
No, 'cause, like for me, I love having these conversations because it gives me like joy and full circle like inspo, because always wanted to be I always wanted to be this. Besides what I do, I've always wanted to be able to share and just inspire
You're a
people.
teacher. You are a teacher. You may not think you are, but that's what a lot of students are like. They'll do the career assessment and they're like, it's just a teacher. I want
Mm-hmm.
to be a teacher. I was like, do you like helping people like get better at doing things? They're like, yeah. I'm like, you're a
It's
teacher.
I really sit in it 'cause I love it. Like I'm the friend that also is the one that people come to for talking and conversations like this for wisdom and knowledge, and I love it. And it was beautiful to meet and sit and chat because I love this and like connecting. And this is like real human. And this is why I tell people like I love this aspect of humanity, and I think we need to get more back to this. We get back more
Yeah,
sharing, right?
building
Um,
relationships and sharing and learning about one another, and it's awesome. So I'm into zodiac. So what's your birthday?
yeah, I am in October 20th, and I'm a Libra.
All right. Okay. I'm a Capricorn, so I'm very.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I'm very like I'm very much like airy. Like I literally go with the flow so much that, and I'm gone with the wind. Like literally, I'm I'm a nomad. Like I literally will wherever life takes me is where I feel like I'm meant to be. And I
and
think
yeah,
that's just me. Like I'm just like if I am meant to go somewhere and I'm meant to be there, it'll work out to where I will get there and I will
that
be.
explains your journey. I mean, totally. Like my kids are both March babies, so I have a St. Patrick's Day baby and then one the next week. But
Mhm.
one's a Pisces and one's an Aries, and I cannot tell you the different. I mean, they are yin and yang. They are oil and water, night and day. So different. And then you just you read zodiac stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, it's just a
Yeah,
crazy 1 week difference of birthdays, and
it's
it really is so different.
no, it's insane.
Our personalities and
I just think it's wild because I'm just like I never really because being back home And growing up, the first time I even knew about zodiac signs was coming out to Los Angeles, because it's not really, back when I was growing up, it wasn't really a thing. Um, but now it's just like understanding it. I'm like, some of it is very, very true, and then others I'm just like, actually, I think I'm more of like a Leo. But then again, I'm like, actually, I am a Libra. Leo is Leo's in my chart, but I'm a Libra through and through. But
But
yeah,
no, you're Deontay. That's who you are. That
that's
is who you
it.
are.
Oh,
That's
but
what
no.
I tell my kid. Yeah, absolutely. You are you. And
Mhm. No, and
we're not gonna, no more labels other than that. You are
the
just you.
uniqueness, the uniqueness of it all. And I think the thing is, everyone is so unique, and I think that there's a beauty in that. I think there's a beauty in just understanding new people and understanding the people around you, because there's so many people that we are around that we truly do not know. Like, we haven't been given or given the like ability or the sureness to just know them for them. Like, I remember when I first left and came back, my immediate family was just like, "You're so different," you know? And I'm
Yeah.
just like, at first I was like, "What does that mean?" And I'm like, but I was like, "No, like I am different. There's a growth to me. Like, a couple years of me stepping outside just to NKU was different, you
Well,
know?"
it's like the kid who, if if you were to have a grandchild and you see them at Christmas and then you see them in the summer,
Mm-hmm.
it's so obvious how different they are. When you're
Yes.
with somebody all the time, when you're with yourself, yes, you know that there's growth happening, but you don't see the huge change that your family sees when
Yes.
when you're growing with they they've stopped
Yeah.
growing. They're the adults, they've
Yeah.
become who they are, and you're still growing, and there is that disconnect for sure.
Yeah.
Let me tell you though, the 40s, you think being 20, and I remember my late 20s, I got married, started, my life journey. I got this gig when I was 26. So I've been here 22 years. And um, I have to say, the 40s, that's the best decade because the 20s and 30s, you're working hard, you got the
Yeah.
grind, trying to figure out who you are, what you want to be. But when you're in that kind of moving up to 50, if we're so lucky to get there, right, is that and you probably a little further along than I certainly was, but I'm done making excuses for who I am. I
Yeah.
am who I am, and I'm sorry if you don't like, again, four agreements,
Yes.
that kind of, I got to that later in life, of course. um, but it's just amazing how freeing that is.
Yes.
You can just be yourself, and again, maybe it won't be as big a thing for you because you're already kind of on that journey already. But
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 it's
the
just
wisdom and the experience
yes.
of being able to continue to just go on that journey, you do become
Who you
so
are.
much more at peace with
Yes.
whatever decisions you made.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
no. And I think for me it's like I've always been like I was like a old soul. Um I like just I always have, like, and when I was a kid, like 6, 7, like everybody would be playing and I'm sitting on the porch with the old people and I'm talking with them like I know what I'm talking about, and I did. Like, we would chat, and I just I feel like that just gave me a sense of reassurance. I'm blessed and I'm lucky to understand that, like, I just came into this world knowing everything about myself. Like, I knew about myself, But I would say that it's a beautiful thing to hear that you like are coming to a point of where there's peace and being unapologetic, from finding yourself and being yourself. Because I think there's some people that are set in their ways, and it seems like you are also a teacher, but you're also a student too.
every single day, every single day.
And there's a beauty in that most adults who
Yeah.
are set in their ways do not understand that they can still learn about themselves. They don't know everything about themselves yet, and I don't think we ever will. I think we're going to forever find new things about
And we
ourselves.
can make mistakes, and that's the best way to learn. And I will apologize when I make them.
Mhm.
And if I say something wrong, I'll say, well, I need to correct this. And we need to not be afraid just
Exactly.
to be who we are. I would love to talk to you for like 3 more hours, but I have 3 hours of voice lessons to give. So
Yes.
I'm a little bit, but oh my gosh, I appreciate all your time. I'm sure this is not the last time I talk with you.
Yes.
I'm sure that I'm going to follow your whole journey and all your web stuff. And I'm so excited to know somebody just living their dream. And
You.
I'm sure if I get any questions from students, I'll send them your
Yeah.
way. And the
Love.
next time you're in Madisonville, if you come home to see family, I would love to like have coffee, meet you. Maybe
Yeah.
you could come talk to a class, or I'm sure everybody wants to know what it was like to be at the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah. No, I would. I'm
You
also
have
trying.
so much more wisdom than that, but that gets you in the door in their minds,
Yeah,
like,
no, thank you. I would love to figure out if you know how I could, because I would love, I would figure out, I'm trying to figure out how I would even, because I would love to talk at not graduation, but like some type of speed, sometimes something
yeah.
like,
So what I would probably do is I would contact the school, and it probably, and the counselor, or I mean, it could be something as much. I, my husband just retired from the school system, so I don't have all the ends of. He was the band director at Madisonville North while you
not,
were there, Mr.
not, yes.
Yes. So, and he just retired last year. Mr. Emerson is still oh, actually, you weren't at North, you were at Central, so you don't know what I'm talking about.
That was true.
Anyway, but my Massville's band, all that kind of stuff.
Mm,
Certainly knew about it. But, I could probably, if you give me an email address or phone number or something, I could probably, or I mean, you can contact Central, but I could say, hey, this, know, your
yeah,
old student, I mean, they would love to hear from you. I'm sure if you just contact Central and say, hey, I would love to, do a speech someday, or just talk to students or whatever, to inspire them to go for their dreams and succeed, they'd be all over that.
yeah, no, I definitely will.
They would.
I've been
Absolutely.
thinking about it. I
They
definitely,
want to hear from their star
yeah.
people, all the articles and the TV,
Yeah, because also
all that.
Miss Fox, it's
Yeah,
so said that she was like, it's just beginning for him, and it would just solidify the era that I'm in. Because that's how
yeah.
I feel. I really do feel that way. I feel like this is a big moment, but like it feels like it's a perfect
It's the
time.
beginning. It is
It's
the beginning.
great.
All these were the previews. You
Yep.
know,
Yeah. The trailer of the
the
big movie
trailer. Yes, for the big movie. All
but no,
right. Well, you enjoy your day.
as
Um,
well.
I'm gonna stop this. Thank you so much. Stop
Yes.
this recording. I, yeah, stop
Yeah.
recording.
It was so lovely talking to you. Thank you